fabled heat, where magic meets desire. Subscribe to ignite the fantasy.
The chipped ceramic of the mug warmed my hands, a small, grounding comfort. Earl Grey, steeped for precisely 4 minutes, anything longer and the bergamot overwhelmed, anything shorter and it tasted thin, like a half-hearted apology. I preferred things precise, predictable. My gaze drifted from the swirling tea to the rain-streaked window of the writer's retreat, a generously named cabin that smelled perpetually of damp wood and forgotten dreams. I'd come here to the remote Oregon coast, hoping for less. Less noise, less expectation, less people. I'm Ren, and I write contemporary romance. Specifically, the kind with emotionally stunted heroes and heroines who unravel each other's tightly wounded souls. Irony isn't lost on me. I'm wired differently. Diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder and a generous helping of ADHD a few years back. It explains a lot, mostly the decades spent misinterpreting social cues and the obsessive need to categorize everything, including feelings. Which ironically made writing about feelings a strange sort of hyperfocus. I could dissect them, analyze them, build fictional worlds around them, but experiencing them directly felt like static interference on a clear frequency. I'd found the online community almost by accident, a Reddit thread lamenting the lack of spaces for neurodivergent romance writers. Then came Flashy Training 734's post, the one about a Discord server. The initial flurry of excitement, a place where I wouldn't have to explain the need for detailed outlines or apologize for stimming during brainstorming sessions, had quickly morphed into anxiety. Would I fit in? Would they understand the way my brain worked? The way I needed silence to write, the way a sudden change in plans could send me spiraling. I'd joined, lurking for days, absorbing the energy. It was different, raw, honest. People talking about their struggles with deadlines, with character motivation, with the sheer exhaustion of masking. And then Flashy Training 734, whose real name was Alara, announced a weekend retreat for server members, a real-life gathering. I almost didn't go. But something, a flicker of hope, a desperate need for connection, had compelled me. Now here I was, hiding in the cabin study, avoiding the main house where the others were gathered. A soft knock startled me. I hadn't even registered anyone approaching. I braced myself, smoothed my worn sweater, and called out, "It's open." The door eased inward, revealing him, or rather them. Kalen was the first to register, all sharp angles and intense gray eyes. He leaned against the doorframe, one arm crossed, radiating a quiet power that made my heart stutter. Then I saw Reese, a whirlwind of golden curls and infectious laughter, practically bouncing with energy beside him. And finally Liam, the silent observer, his face etched with a gentle melancholy that tugged at something deep within me. Three incredibly attractive men, all members of the Discord server, and apparently all concerned about my solitary confinement. "Hey," Kalen said, his voice a low rumble. "We noticed you weren't out with us. Everything all right?" Reese chimed in. "Alara was worried you were feeling overwhelmed. We just wanted to check in." He held up a plate piled high with cookies. She baked, their oatmeal raisin, your favorite, according to your profile. My profile, of course. I'd meticulously curated it, listing my sensory sensitivities, my preferred communication style, my obsessive love for tea. It was a safety protocol, a preemptive explanation for my eccentricities. Liam simply nodded, his gaze warm and reassuring. I felt a blush creeping up my neck. I just needed a quiet space, I stammered, clutching my mug tighter. I get overstimulated easily. Kalen's expression softened. "We get it. We all do, to varying degrees. Reese is a human supernova. Liam needs his quiet time, and let's just say I'm not a fan of large crowds." Reese playfully shoved Kalen. "Hey, I'm not that bad." "You are when you start talking about conspiracy theories involving garden gnomes," Kalen retorted, a ghost of a smile playing on his lips. The easy banter, the effortless acceptance, chipped away at the wall I'd built around myself. These weren't the polite, surface-level interactions I was used to. They were genuine. "Come on," Reese urged, gesturing towards the main house. "We're playing board games. Alara made hot chocolate. It's chaos, but it's good chaos." I hesitated. Chaos was not my friend, but their eyes, all three of them, held a plea, a warmth that I couldn't ignore. "Okay," I breathed, surprised by my own willingness. "Okay, I'll come." The weekend unfolded in a haze of shared vulnerability and unexpected connection. We talked about our writing, our struggles, our dreams. We discovered a shared love for obscure documentaries and a mutual aversion to small talk. Reese's energy was infectious, drawing me out of my shell with his relentless optimism. Liam's quiet presence was a calming anchor, offering unspoken understanding. And Kalen was a puzzle I found myself increasingly compelled to solve. He was reserved, guarded, his emotions simmering beneath the surface. But when he did laugh, it was a rare and precious sound. He had a way of looking at me, really seeing me, that made my breath catch in my throat. It wasn't a predatory gaze, but an inquisitive one, as if he were studying a fascinating specimen. And I, in turn, found myself scrutinizing him, noticing the subtle flex of his jaw when he was deep in thought, the way his eyes crinkled at the corners when he smiled. One evening, after everyone else had gone to bed, I found myself drawn back to the main house. I needed more tea, an excuse to escape the swirling thoughts in my head. As I entered the kitchen, I saw Kalen sitting at the table, illuminated by the soft glow of the overhead light. He was writing. "Couldn't sleep?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. He looked up, startled. "Just working through some ideas. You?" "Same." I began to make my tea, the familiar ritual grounding me. "I've been thinking about a scene I'm stuck on. It's supposed to be this intensely emotional moment, but I just can't seem to make it feel real." Kalen pushed his laptop aside. "Maybe you're overthinking it. Sometimes the most powerful emotions are the ones that aren't explicitly stated." "That's what Alara said," I replied, stirring my tea, "but I need to understand the why behind the emotion, the mechanics of it." He chuckled softly. "You're an analyst, aren't you?" "It's how my brain works," I said defensively. He raised his hands in surrender. "I'm not judging. I think you might be looking for something that can't be found through analysis. Some things have to be felt." He stood up and walked towards me, his movements deliberate and graceful. He stopped just a few inches away, his gaze locking with mine. The air crackled with an unspoken energy. "Tell me about the scene," he said, his voice a husky murmur. "Tell me what you're trying to convey." I began to describe the scene, my voice hesitant at first, then gaining momentum as I spoke. I explained the characters, their motivations, their internal conflicts. Kalen listened intently, his eyes never leaving mine. As I talked, he reached out and gently took my hand. His touch was warm, firm, grounding, and suddenly the static in my head began to subside. The emotions I'd been struggling to articulate began to surface, raw and unfiltered. "You want to show how broken they are," Kalen said, his thumb tracing circles on my skin. "How they've both been hurt, how they're afraid to trust. But you also want to show the flicker of hope, the possibility of healing." "Yes," I breathed, my voice thick with emotion. "Exactly." He leaned closer, his breath warm against my ear. "Maybe the key isn't to analyze their pain, but to understand their longing." Reese appeared then, a radiant smile on his face. He stood beside Kalen, casually looping an arm around his waist. Liam followed, his expression unreadable but his presence comforting. They were close, intimately so, and in that moment a realization dawned on me. This wasn't just about friendship. This wasn't just about a shared love of writing. This was about something more, something complex, something I hadn't anticipated. Kalen's grip on my hand tightened. He looked at Reese, then at Liam, then back at me, a question in his eyes. And I, for the first time in a long time, didn't have an answer.